Mizuto, this man was so introverted that his girlfriend dumped him faster than you skip anime fillers. He got kicked by his girlfriend, but destiny wasn't done roasting him yet. The same girlfriend later became his stepsister and started giving him the stepsister treatment by getting stuck in the washing machine. The story begins and we see Mizuto and his stepsister Yum bumping into each other as they were about head out. They gaze at each other like you stare at your ex, but then Yum finally speaks up, "Where are you going?" And Mizuto answers back like a Sigma, "I could ask you the same." They were about to heat up, but their mom appears out of nowhere and tell Mizuto to take Yum to the bookstore. Instantly these two start arguing like couples fighting over who left the AC on last night. Later during dinner, both of them pretend everything is fine and make a pact to never talk about their past relationship. But chaos begins when later at night, Yum enters Mizuto's room and says, "From now on call me Ni-san." Mizuto's brain instantly crashes and shouts that we have same birthday, same year, same day. Yum drops her ultra logic that she is 30 minutes older, so she's the elder sister. Even my math teacher never dropped such heavy formulas. To end this nonsense, they decide to play a game. Whoever stops acting like a proper step-sibling and accidentally exposes their past romance or call their name will be labeled the younger one and will get punished. Yum starts messing with Mizuto's stuff while Mizuto panics like crazy, praying that she doesn't find his hidden treasure, the legendary sock with cream on it. Fear destroys him and he surrenders with full apology mode. But Yum was enjoying this too much and forces him to call her Ni-san. Now it was Mizuto's turn and he takes a different approach. He gets up and emotionally apologizes to her, saying he is sorry if he ever upset her. Yum gets emotional and this act reminds her of the time when he was his boyfriend. She gets flustered and calls him by his name and loses. When Mizuto tries to teasing her and demands that now she has to call him Oni-chan, Yum pulls out the drama tears, calls him big bro and runs away like a full Bollywood actress. A few days later they realize they are in the same college class. Yum gets invited on stage and blows everyone away by her speech. Even the girls fall for her. Mizuto burns from inside like a tandoor because that honor is only for top students, which means his stepsister's his ex-girlfriend's rank is higher than him. Now that's double embarrassment because now they have the same surname. Later, some dudes approach Mizuto asking if Yum is really his stepsister. Our hero panics and runs to the toilet wondering who leaked the information. Maybe Yum? But those same guys walk into the toilet plotting to befriend Mizuto to get close to Yum. When Mizuto returns home, Yum asks if he's sad because people look down on him. Mizuto pretends to be cool like he doesn't care about anything, while in reality his self-respect was already washed and hung to dry. The next day they go to college together, and when those guys try to approach Mizuto again, Yum holds Mizuto's arm like a girl with brother issues and gives a really naughty smile. This move works and those dudes finally back off. But later her mood instantly changes and she becomes cold, confusing Mizuto of her intentions. That evening their parents were late, so Mizuto decides to cook something for this hungry demon because his cooking skills go only as far as instant noodles. During dinner Yum tells him to forget what happened at college. Mizuto says he already forgot, but inside he was still burning. The true spice in the anime drops when Yum walks out of the bathroom in only a towel. Mizuto's mind freezes and body overheats like a cheap laptop. As the towel was about to fall she realizes she's adding too much fan service and Mizuto heroically throws his jacket on her and screams, "Go cover yourself, sister pillow." After that he explains her to stop doing all that weird flirting in college. Yum blushes and says, "From now on no one will bully you except me." This girl sounds less like a sister and more like a WWE heel wrestler. Mizuto thanks her but Yum gets flustered and runs, only to trip over and fall right under Mizuto. The atmosphere heats up so fast Mizuto almost loses control of his desires. But divine intervention arrives as their parents return home and the whole romance shuts down instantly like a washing machine mid-cycle. The moment their parents come home, Mizuto panics so hard he stuffs Yum inside the sofa like a broke guy hiding his EMI money. As soon as the parents head to their room, Mizuto realizes he was one bad decision away from paying child support in his teenage years. Next day in class a guy shows up named Kawanami and says, "Bro, let's attend fitness class together." Mizuto instantly senses danger thinking this guy is here to hit on his sister. But Kawanami casually says, "Bro, relax, I am not interested in your sister." Bro came to hit on Mizuto I guess. Mizuto was still processing this unwanted friendship when Kawanami tells him to look back. Mizuto turns around and sees him trying to sink into the floor like a kid trying to avoid the teacher during exams. Later during fitness class, the teacher was taking weight and measurements of the students when a girl named Minami arrives, looking depressed like a grandma searching for her glasses after seeing Yum's Fortnite-level jiggle physics. Poor Minami stares at her flatlands like she's checking her bank account to see only 50 cents left. Yum comforts her saying, "Chill girl, I was also a smooth runway last year, these things only started growing recently." Minami suddenly regains hope like a lottery ticket winner that maybe one day her own Jigglypuffs might unlock. Later Minami and Yum go for the fitness test. Minami cries on the outside but inside she's running like she's training for the Olympics. Then comes the legendary trip and fall queen Yum. She had zero confidence because she's that horror movie girl who falls while running from the goat. Even then she manages slightly above average, but then during the 50-meter dash where she faints at the finish line and Mizuto swoops in like a superhero to save her. After that Yum and Minami sit and talk in the nurse's office. Yum admits that she has no talent in sports and only works hard to maintain her image. Minami says, I thought you were an attitude queen but you're just a normal girl like us, and surprisingly they quickly become best friends. Back a few days later Yum was absent from school due to fever. Minami finds out that Yum had fever so she barges straight to Mizuto and annoys him like the neighbor's kid begging to play games on your phone. Kawanami suddenly appears and saves Mizuto from this unwanted interview, and Minami and Kawanami instantly start fighting like two stray cats. Finally, Minami decides to visit Yum after school along with Mizuto. Back home they find Yum lying on the bed as if someone wiped all her mobile data. The moment she opens her eyes she starts missing Mizuto. I mean the time when he was his boyfriend. Is this fever or nostalgia for her ex? She asks him why did he abandon her, but the moment she sees Minami she switches to full recovery mode and gets embarrassed. Later both Mizuto and Minami go to the kitchen to make porridge, but Mizuto just stands in the corner like a servant hired by mistake. In the middle Minami asks him, when you get a girlfriend, how will this stepsister drama work? Mizuto's brain starts ringing alarms and he thinks, how do I explain that my stepsister's overacting never shuts down? Then Yum begins a new drama. Minami feeds her with her own hands while Mizuto stands in the corner doing a PhD in third wheeling. After Minami leaves, Mizuto goes to Yum's room again. Yum immediately tells him, sit here, don't go. Fever hasn't gone yet but romance has started. Yum suddenly remembers the past and says, you remember that time I had a fever and asked you to hold my hand? You promised you would stay but when I woke up you weren't there. Mizuto gets emotional and says, I promise this time I'll stay right here until you wake up. Then we see a flashback of their 8th grade romance in full HD. These two were stuck together like a newly viral Instagram couple until small fights ruined everything and after graduation they broke up. Then fate punched them so hard that their parents married each other and they became siblings while still behaving like exes. Then Yum reaches the final boss stage of her fever drama and Mizuto enters slave mode and runs around to fulfill all her requests, but soon he realizes her fever was gone long ago. She only wanted to gain his attention and care by acting. Mizuto should have gotten angry, but when she apologizes, he easily forgives her because this poor man is now emotionally domesticated, so he quietly tries leaving the room. Before he leaves, Yum says, this time please don't ghost me like last time. 6 months ago, Yum used to treat Mizuto's belongings and gifts like sacred relics, preserving everything in boxes like prayer items of her crush. But now her obsession has leveled up. Her new hobby is smelling Mizuto's underpants. What kind of romance arc is this? But suddenly clarity hits and Yum rewind her entire life. Even after all this she refuses to blame herself and decides the real problem is Mizuto wearing underpants. She panics thinking if Mizuto catches her, so she secretly tries returning it. At midnight she sneaks out of her room like a Mission Impossible agent but runs into Mizuto, who is also caught sniffing Yum's plot covers. I know Sweet Home Alabama family, right? Now both have ultimate blackmail material on each other, so they decide to settle it with rock paper scissors. Yum loses. She thought she is officially finished, but Mizuto finally confesses that he didn't do anything weird with her plot covers. It just fell on the floor from washing machine, and when dad suddenly showed up, he panicked and tossed it into his room. Yum stares into his soul and asks, tell me honestly you didn't do anything with, right? Mizuto goes, nah, I want nothing to do with that. Inside he was celebrating survival like he escaped a horror movie. Both of them realize that they are both in same situations, so they decide to fulfill each request one favor later to settle the score. Next day Yum was returning from school and suddenly spots Mizuto with a girl who looks exactly like her. When she reaches home, she notices that there's a pair of girl shoes at the door and her brain instantly goes into jealous girlfriend mode. She thinks, Mizuto brought a girl home? And instantly takes a photo of the shoes like an FBI agent collecting evidence. She calls Mizuto to send him out of the house with some random excuse. Mizuto says, fine, I'm leaving but you'll owe me a favor. Yum agrees thinking, yeah, later, first get out so I can expose you. The moment Mizuto leaves, Yum whispers, I will save this girl from him, and sneaks straight into his room. She expected to catch Mizuto red-handed, but instead Mizuto catches her. Yum thought he had gone outside, but the sound she heard was actually from the mysterious girl leaving. Mizuto says, what girl, I'm alone. Yum points at the evidence and says, oh really, what is this then? Mizuto acts like a thief has entered the house, but Yum has clearly seen him earlier with the girl and her brain starts cooking theories. Meanwhile Mizuto sits in his room wondering who the girl even was. Turns out that mystery girl literally proposed to him the moment they met, saying let's get married. Bro first meeting and straight to marriage. And the twist is that girl was Minami wearing a wig and glasses. She declares that I will marry Mizuto, so Yum becomes my sister. Mizuto is just the cover story. story, the real target was Yum. Mizuto calls Kawanami asking for help because Minami was sticking to him like a magnet. Kawanami tells him that Minami once had a boyfriend and gave him so much love that the guy fell into depression. She showered so much affection in 3 months the dude ended up in the hospital. Kawanami warns him to reject her straight and tell her to stay away from Yum or you'll end up in treatment room too. But Kawanami tells him that he even has a master plan if this plan fails. Later we see Mizuto who reminds Yum that she owes him a request. Yum says fine, what do you want? Mizuto says come with me on a date tomorrow. Yum freezes, but next day she gets ready thinking siblings going out is normal, let's chill. But the moment Mizuto appears she looks at him and was like wait, this guy actually looks handsome. They end up stuck in a long aquarium line and Yum feels like she got caught committing a crime. It felt like the entire world was staring at them like they were a cute couple on a date. She was already nervous, but the real problem was Mizuto looking way too good today. His soft gentleman face was melting her brain and her body was sweating, and not because of heat. When they finally get tickets, Mizuto casually grabs Yum's hand and leads her inside. Yum's soul almost fell for him again. She had no idea this entire situation was planned by Kawanami, so Minami would finally accept that she had no chance. Then Mizuto remembers the golden words by Master Kawanami, compliment the girl's dress. It is essential. Gathering all courage, he mutters, you look nice today. That one line sends Yum's brain into a cosmic love explosion. Her face becomes full tomato, but she manages to whisper thank you while pretending to stay normal. Meanwhile Minami, who was spying on them from a corner like a CCTV camera with feeling, seeing her, Mizuto played his final move. He pulled Yum even closer, and Yum just gave up as her aquarium's fountain turned on at full pressure. But she immediately reset her expression like nothing happened and looked away while Mizuto pretended to focus on Yum. He knew very well she wasn't looking at the fish either. She was looking at him like he was the main attraction at the aquarium. Later, he realized that Yum had disappeared. He expected her to yell at him, but instead she blamed herself. Shocked, Mizuto took the blame and apologized. Yum gasped and hung up like a malfunctioning robot. Her brain started running a whole tsunami of questions. Why was Mizuto being so nice today? Was this real or just acting? She remembered all their past library meetings and that one time he invited her to a festival. There they got separated. Yum sat in a lonely corner miserable like a kid who lost her mom in a supermarket. When Mizuto called and she started crying an apology, but he didn't scold her, and then Mizuto appeared holding a drink for her. And today the same moment repeats. Mizuto brings a drink again and jokingly says if you learned how to read maps, I wouldn't have to do all this. Yum rolls up her sleeves and they start bickering again in their classic sweet-sour style. Minami, spying from the distance, starts thinking these two actually look pretty good together. Meanwhile Mizuto also realizes the traits he once loved about Yum became irritating after the breakup, but now that the emotional chains were gone, she didn't seem as annoying as she pretended to be. After a fun day, Yum heads home early so their parents won't suspect anything. But the moment she leaves, Minami enters like a ninja and apologizes to Mizuto for trespassing into their house earlier. She begs him not to tell Yum. Mizuto agrees like a gentleman but warns her to behave or deal with consequences. Minami, instead of giving up on marriage, now plans a sneak attack strategy. She won't hide anymore. She'll become Yum's sweet bestie and enter the house legally. Yum meanwhile still worries about whose shoes those were and what girl entered their house. When Mizuto returns, Yum drops her true demon queen form. She grabs old glasses and asks him to pose for a photo shoot. Mizuto becomes a model for her camera, and after filling her gallery with his photos, she activates the final boss stage and demands that Mizuto has to hug her from behind and whisper romantic nonsense in her ear. Next day Minami and Yum were chatting in class when Kawanami gives Mizuto a secret tip and tell him that if Minami ever crosses the line, you come straight to me. Mizuto thinks for a moment and asks him a question. Have you ever been hospitalized? Kawanami says yes, and Mizuto's entire soul leaves his body. So, you're the guy Minami dated in middle school. A few days later on Mother's Day, Yum asks Mizuto to come choose a gift. Mizuto refuses like the stubborn NPC he is, but Yum uses her ultimate attack, cute mode, and he instantly folds. After wandering around, they buy a bouquet filled with red and pink roses. They give it to their mom saying you've always been there for us, so this is for you. Mom gets so emotional that she runs off crying. Yum was glowing with happiness, but Mizuto's face suddenly turns serious. Later that evening Yum finds him sitting quietly near his mother's memorial. For the first time she sees Mizuto actually open up. He tells her that he doesn't really remember much because he was very young when his mother passed away. Yum understands he must feel deeply alone. She gently rests her head on his shoulder to comfort him, even though they both know if this lasts too long moral support might turn into something much less moral. After a moment Mizuto's brain, which rarely functions, finally kicks in. He says maybe we should give our parents some space. Because of us they keep holding back. Yum's eyes snap open. Mizuto suggests that they spend a night outside to give their parents privacy. This man is openly telling his extern sister let's leave the house for a night so our parents can enjoy married life. The moment Mizuto mentioned a love hotel, Yum's soul shook like a Bluetooth speaker on full bass. She instantly rejected it, saying, "I'm not spending my first time on beds soaked in tears from 90 previous couples." She said that with the confidence of a girl who knows exactly how shady those rooms are. Next day Mizuto offered a decent plan. "I'll stay at Kawanami's place and you can stay at Minami's. We're neighbors anyway." Yum actually agreed to this more civilized arrangement. A few days later, when they reached Kawanami's building, Minami started thanking Mizuto for letting her spend a night with Yum. Later, Mizuto tied up Kawanami with a rope and began reading loudly from his cringe childhood poetry collection. "I will become a policeman so I can marry Minami and keep her safe." Minami in the next room exploded into pure rage and shout, "So you dreamed of marrying me, huh?" And afterwards during night, all four of them ended up at the same restaurant that night. Even though Kawanami and Minami pretended to be sworn enemies, both instantly ordered what the other liked. After dinner they went back home and Mizuto focused on studying while Kawanami lay on his bed sending memes into the group chat. Yum scolded him saying, "You also have exams, idiot, study a little." Kawanami asked Mizuto how hard the test was and Mizuto tried scaring him by saying, "So difficult even I study for it." Kawanami panicked but Mizuto comforted him saying, "If you want to barely pass, a little studying is enough." But Kawanami decided he wanted higher marks than Minami. That night Mizuto stepped out to the balcony and found Yum there staring at the stars. Light conversation turned into nostalgia. They drifted back into their pre-breakup days. Yum hesitated before asking, "Are we only together because our parents are married? Will there be a day we separate?" Mizuto answered without thinking, "We're step-siblings now. We'll probably stay like this for life." Later, after few days, school was over and Minami asked Yum to walk home together, but Yum refused, saying she would go to the study hall as she has to maintain her first rank. That moment her friends also arrive and motivated her. Back home Yum remembered her second year of middle school when someone finally beat her scores. That someone was Mizuto. To reclaim her top spot, she studied like her life depended on it. She sacrificed sleep, sanity, and joy and ended up first again. But then she realized Mizuto didn't even care about scores, meaning their entire rivalry existed only inside her brain. One day in the library when they bumped into each other, Yum felt something strange for the first time. She was still processing that when she saw Mizuto relaxing on the sofa like he owned the place. She taunted him saying, "You'll be second again." Mizuto calmly said, "Not this time. I'm not letting you win." Next day before the exam Mizuto saw Yum yawning, so he asked, "Is sacrificing sleep necessary to stay on top?" Yum replied that everyone likes me because of my grades. I have to stay number one. After the first exam Yum calculated her score, 94. But then panic hit as Mizuto's strongest subject was Japanese literature. If he gets a full 100 he'll beat her by 6 points. To confirm she sneaked into his room like a ninja and checked his answer sheet. There she noticed that he left the last few questions blank. Yum grabbed him and demanded, "Why did you skip these questions?" But Mizuto just shrugged her and said that time ran out. But Yum checked his paper and saw he stopped writing 10 minutes before the exam ended, meaning he either lied or purposely left the questions. This started a full-blown Cold War and she stormed into her room. On results day Yum walked in with full topper energy. She already imagined her name shining at the top. But the moment she saw the sheet, Mizuto was rank 1. The man was standing there smirking like he won the Olympics. Yum finally realized the truth. He got perfect scores in every other subject, so even if he left some questions in literature he would still end up first. This man literally did mathematical bullying. Yum panicked inside. If she's not the top student, will everyone stop liking her? But then Minami and her friends rushed to her happily like nothing changed. That's when she understood Mizuto wasn't humiliating her. He was teaching her that grades don't define her worth. She went to thank him but destiny said nope. In the library she found Mizuto talking to a classmate named Higashino. Yum froze as the girl flirted with Mizuto and Mizuto replied with lines worse than her taste in past boyfriends. Higashino then asked him to help her put on her jacket, and while helping her he realized she was the first person he genuinely clicked with since forever. Later when Minami and Yum bumped into them, Mizuto introduced Higashino as his new friend. Minami extended her hand but Mizuto stopped her and said she's shy, respect her personal space. That one sentence stabbed Yum in the chest. She quietly walked away and Minami chased her. Back home Yum was burning with jealousy. She hated seeing him with another girl, but then remembered, oh right, he's her stepbrother now. Getting jealous is pointless. Next day Yum suddenly became extremely gentle and caring, so much that Mizuto wondered, who is this girl and where did my ex/stepsister go? He told Higashino everything and she responded with pure wisdom. When someone's emotional peace gets shaken, they start doing weird things. Mizuto finally understood how to handle Yum and thanked Higashino. In the evening, he stormed into Yum's room, pinned her to the wall and her heart started heart beating like an active volcano. He began teasing her lightly, then said directly, "These weird behaviors of yours are getting out of hand." Yum panicked, then quietly confessed that I'm jealous of Higashino. She explained that even when they dated, she always called him by his family name. But Higashino calls him Mizuto so casually, it just shakes her soul. Then she asked, "Is it normal to be jealous of your own brother?" Mizuto paused and said, "This sounds like a horror show." Then joked, "I always knew you were weird from day one." Somehow, Yum instantly relaxed. Back to the present day, we see that Higashino gets an anonymous letter inviting her to a local restaurant. Higashino reached the restaurant excited like she was about to get a secret confession, but inside she found Yum and Minami laughing like two villains. They told her that it was just a prank to scare her. Minami pushed the joke further, saying, "We even know your biggest secret." Higashino started sweating, thinking, oh no, did they find out that? But the real question was simply this: do you like Mizuto? Higashino wasn't even sure herself, so Minami whispered something so dirty in her ear that even Google would crash. Yum hyped her up to go flirt with him like a champion. So Higashino decided she'd hit on Mizuto so hard he'd ask her out. Plan was simple: act cool, pretend nothing affects you, then strike at the right moment. But the reality is that Mizuto didn't even look at her. So, Minami activated level 2 flirting tricks, the type that melts normal boys, but Mizuto still remained unaffected like a stone statue. Higashino started thinking maybe having a crush on your friend is a terrible idea. So, Yum and Minami announced final plan: full makeover. After the makeover, Higashino arrived at the library looking like an Instagram model. She slid close to Mizuto, and he slid away like he was dodging a wild Pokemon. He finally snapped and said, "This is my personal space. Please stay outside it." Finally, she called Mizuto behind the school for confession. She told him how everyone always found her annoying, but he treated her like a real friend. Now she wanted to be more than that. Mizuto first said, "Wow, we'd actually make a nice pair," but then dropped the truth bomb. He says, "I can't say yes because my heart is stuck on someone else, someone who doesn't even deserve it." Yum was secretly spying behind the wall and almost fainted after hearing this. Why is Mizuto this serious about me? We're step-siblings, for God's sake. Next day, everyone pretended to be normal, but Higashino decided she'd read every single novel Mizuto owned to find out what fantasy girls he liked. She cracked so many jokes Mizuto's brain gave error messages. He told her to stop and she immediately hugged him in apology. Later the girls gave her another makeover because she looked like a sad puppy. This time they accidentally turned her into the white girl who dies first in horror movies. The outfit didn't fit because, let's just say, the plot situation rearranged the fabric of physics. One outfit after another failed until Minami suggested loose clothes like Yum, but then Yum also had to change her own style or they'd look like twins. Next day she reached Mizuto's house, saw his parents and thought, "This is my final boss fight." The moment she entered the room, Yum popped up like SpongeBob and ruined the vibe. But Higashino didn't care. She jumped on Mizuto's bed like she owned the place, saying, "I already got rejected, what else can go wrong?" Later she pretended to have body pain and asked for a shoulder massage. The moment Mizuto started massaging, she made suspicious sounds that Yum's brain started rotating like a ceiling fan on top speed. Yum yelled in full anger, telling Mizuto to at least respect basic private space. That's when Higashino shifted into shameless turbo mode and said she couldn't bend down to wear her socks, so he should do it for her. Yum almost exploded because this girl was crossing limits like speed breakers didn't exist on her road. Later, Yum asked Higashino how she was so relaxed and normal while treating Mizuto as just a friend. Higashino replied with a dead serious face that she had decided to live completely feelingless now. Yum finally understood that Higashino wasn't trying to be some jealous girlfriend. She just wanted her own unique space in Mizuto's life. After dropping Higashino to the bathroom, Yum went straight to Mizuto and demanded why he was acting like such a simp around her. Mizuto casually replied that this was normal between them, but Yum refused to believe that nonsense. She took out her stockings and told him to put them on her. Mizuto said yes with a shaky voice, but right when the romantic tension started rising, the whole moment died because Higashino texted him, panicking that his parents were treating her exactly like his ex. Mizuto dropped her home, and she confessed that his parents genuinely believed she was his ex. She even told them that she was heartbroken after being rejected. Then she asked Mizuto for a lifelong free counseling pass, meaning he should comfort her whenever she felt sad. After she left, Mizuto suddenly remembered their old library days when they used to pretend to read but were secretly flirting, and that alleyway kissing moment also hit him like a flashback grenade. The next day, he invited Yum over since the house was empty and he had set up his whole budget romantic plan. Yum, nervous because it was her first time visiting a boy's house, still warned him that if he ever brought another girl to this room, she would explode. She sat on the bed and leaned closer for a moment, expecting something sweet, and this man picked up a novel and said, "Let's read a chapter." Yum stared at him like he was speed-running the destruction of her patience. After they finished reading and she leaned in again, he immediately said he should drop her home before her parents worried. The entire romance arc died instantly. Then the new school year started, with Mizuto in class 1 and Yum in class 3. Yum complained that class felt boring without him, and Mizuto casually said they could recreate their old library moment. So, she ran to the library but reached late, and proudly told Mizuto she made a new friend today. She praised her new friend so much that Mizuto started doubting if he even existed anymore. As more friends joined her, Mizuto felt like an old charger nobody uses anymore. One day, Yum told him very politely that she couldn't come to the library because she was busy with her new friend squad. Mizuto wondered if this was a friend circle or a multi-level marketing scheme. On the way home, Yum kept talking about her new friends while Mizuto mentally pressed the snooze button until he reached his house. Later, he regretted being rude and decided he would apologize the next day. Meanwhile, Yum skipped her friend meetup just to see if Mizuto was still alive or if loneliness had completely roasted him. But when she reached the library, she saw him talking to another girl and instantly went into detective mode, accusing him of betraying their relationship. Mizuto tried explaining she just wanted a book suggestion, but Yum already wrote full crime thriller in her mind. At home, she realized she overreacted but still felt bitter. Mizuto, meanwhile, felt confused, wondering what he did wrong. The next day, they met accidentally at a bookstore. Mizuto wisely said that they should repair their relationship because things were getting awkward. The tension softened but the distance remained. Later, Yum saw a festival poster and her heart wanted Mizuto to invite her, but she didn't have the courage to ask. She waited quietly like this was some movie where the boy magically understands everything. But real life isn't a film. Mizuto didn't appear. She realized she should have spoken instead of silently hoping. A whole month passed without talking, and Yum held on to one tiny hope that at least on their first anniversary Mizuto would message her, but her phone stayed completely silent, as if he had forgotten she existed. While Yum was busy decorating the college like some festival queen, Mizuto was doing what he always does best, hiding inside the library and dating books instead of human. One person was burning calories for events, and the other was romancing novels like they were his true soulmate. And finally, Mizuto decided enough was enough. This long-distance emotional torture wasn't love anymore, it was an exam, so he broke up with her before graduation. For him, the breakup felt like escaping from pain, until destiny turned into a stand-up comedian and their parents got married, making them step-siblings. Love went out the window and family drama walked in. Now, whenever Yum came to read books, Mizuto would remind her, "Hey, this is the same book we used to read while dating." And just like that, the emotional wound reopened. He even admitted that back when they dated, he wanted to hug her from behind, but backed out because she looked nervous. Yum got irritated and shouted she was ready. It was just her first time, so of course she was nervous. The next night, the weather joined the drama club. Heavy rain started and Yum learned their parents weren't coming home, meaning her and Mizuto would be alone in the house. Suddenly, a cockroach invaded her room, and she ran for her life straight into Mizuto's room. Mizuto went to kill it with spray, but Yum was still so scared she decided to sleep there. Before lying down, she warned him to keep his mini Mizuto under control. Mizuto said he had no such intention, and Yum insulted him back saying, "When did you become such a coward?" Both turned away from each other and slept like two angry penguins. At midnight, Mizuto woke up and saw Yum sleeping while facing him. Her face was so close that it reminded him of their old school days, but fortunately his brain worked for once and he decided to let his junior department sleep peacefully. Next day, when their parents returned, Yum acted innocent and blamed Mizuto for being the one scared of the cockroach. Poor guy felt smaller than the actual insect. Their parents, thinking the kids were bonding deeply, happily announced that they would all go to Oban to visit relatives. There was nothing much to do there except bathe in the river, which basically meant bring your swimsuits. For Yum, this was a whole new level of crisis. Her mom even suggested that she and Mizuto go together to buy her swimsuit. Yum wore a detective-style outfit to avoid being recognized because getting seen with him would somehow destroy her reputation. At the mall, she tried a new swimsuit and suddenly thought she should ask Mizuto which one looked better. But inside, she decided she would buy the same swimsuit that Mizuto liked. As they walked out, she thanked him for coming with her, and he clarified he was only doing it so their parents would think they were a happy family. While talking, they suddenly reached the spot where they shared their very first kiss, and the atmosphere went silent like the universe hit the pause button. Yum had entered full "I'm ready to break every limit tonight" mode at the kissing spot, but Mizuto snapped her back to reality so fast her brain rebooted. The next day, both behaved so awkwardly that their parents immediately sensed something spicy and started teasing them like new couple alert. That night, Higashino came over to watch a movie, but Yum started burning from inside the moment she saw her sitting on Mizuto's lap like she bought premium seating right. Things got worse when Higashino casually opened her jacket. Yum realized this girl was way too comfortable for her liking. After the movie, Higashino asked Mizuto what he thought of the film, and this boy started explaining every detail like he was giving a PhD presentation. Eventually, Mizuto started getting sleepy and Higashino offered her lap as a pillow and even bragged about her plots like they were no less than Jupiter. But Mizuto was so sleepy he fell straight onto Yum's lap instead. Higashino melted seeing her crush sleep cutely and even said she could kiss him right now and he wouldn't know, but Yum hit the brakes immediately and told her not to waste her first kiss on someone who wasn't even interested. Higashino flipped it back and said she didn't care. She wanted her first kiss with Mizuto anyway. She had been controlling her feelings for way too long and now the dam was about to break. Angry and embarrassed, Higashino said goodnight and left, leaving Yum alone with sleeping Mizuto. Later when Yum's mom asked if Mizuto and Higashino were dating, Yum intentionally answered in the most confusing way possible. Her mom even added fuel by saying they looked cute together and Yum should also get herself a boyfriend. Yum stormed into her room, but inside her heart was having an attack. Why was she still imagining herself in a relationship with Mizuto? That's when it hit her. She had never actually moved on. Then the story snapped back to the present as the whole combined family reached Oban. Mizuto's grandma was excited seeing them together. Mizuto's cousin Madoka ran straight to Yum and hugged her like they were childhood besties. Yum stood there confused thinking, who is this girl and why is she touching me like this? Their dad introduced her properly as Madoka and her little brother Chikuma. When Madoka said, "Yum, go put on your swimsuit," that's when Yum finally understood the real nightmare. Oban wasn't some simple festival trip, it was basically River Beach Drama Deluxe Edition. The whole family gathered for barbecue by the river. Suddenly Madoka hugged Yum again and said her waist was so thin compared to her own truck-sized body. Then she asked the big question, "Do you have a boyfriend?" Yum immediately looked at Mizuto, and Madoka's brain jumped to conclusions. "Oh, is the family already setting you two up?" She then complained that she had known Mizuto since childhood, but he always dismissed her like begone thought whenever she got close. Mizuto grabbed his bag and walked away with absolute zero emotion like a cold anime protagonist. Madoka complained behind him asking if he didn't even know how to swim. Mizuto ignored her on maximum level. Since Mizuto refused to get in the lake, Madoka switched plans and took Yum with her instead. Later that night, before sleeping, Yum went straight to the library where Mizuto was reading and casually told him the bathroom was empty if he wanted to shower. The moment he closed his book, she fired her first question like a rapid-fire interview. "Why don't you use a bookmark?" Mizuto said he didn't need one because he remembered every detail by heart. Then he dropped the real lore bomb. The book he was reading was his great-grandfather's autobiography, a rare copy that didn't exist anywhere else. That's why every time the family visited Oban, he came here to read it again. He told her he found this book when he was little, and it was the first book he ever finished. Turns out his great-grandfather was imprisoned in the Soviet Union for 3 years after the war, and this book was about his life in that camp. The story even mentioned a dancing girl, and Yum's curiosity skyrocketed, but instead of answering, Mizuto just handed her the book and said, "Read it yourself." Before leaving, Yum asked if anyone except him had ever read this book. Mizuto said impossible. This book was gathering dust even when he first found it. But the moment Yum began reading that tragic love story, her eyes filled with tears, and when she wiped a tear from the page, she noticed someone else had cried on the same spot long ago. When Mizuto returned, Yum fired another question. "What was your first love like?" Mizuto instantly replied, "She used to laugh a lot." Yum's brain immediately pictured Madoka. She realized she had been stressing in the wrong direction this whole time. Next day Madoka asked Yum to pick a yukata for the summer festival, but Yum was lost in guilt thinking how badly she had treated Mizuto. Madoka understood instantly and said, "Girl, you're clearly in love." Then she went full FBI and directly asked if Yum liked Mizuto. Yum mentally froze, and Madoka proudly promised to speed up her love story. By evening, Madoka executed her master plan. She locked Yum and Mizuto inside a room and shouted from outside, "By the time I return, a baby should be made." Yum stood inside like a statue thinking this was the biggest plot twist of her life. After being embarrassed by her past behavior, she finally admitted to herself that she had always been selfish with Mizuto. Her memories hit her hard, how she never called him that summer, never gave him a Christmas gift, never made him Valentine chocolate. Overwhelmed, she hugged Mizuto tightly and cried her heart out. She confessed she was jealous because she thought Madoka was his first love. Mizuto shut it down instantly saying he never liked Madoka. When he saw her face while leaving, he roasted her again saying, "Your nose is running." And as he walked out, he dropped the final twist. "My first love used to laugh a lot." Yum froze as she finally realized it was her. She was his first love. The next day at the summer festival, Madoka was hyped seeing Yum in a pink yukata. The real chaos started when Mizuto appeared wearing a traditional Japanese outfit. Yum's heart malfunctioned completely. She even took a photo. Madoka misunderstood and gave her phone to Mizuto, and Yum had a mini heart attack when he unlocked it instantly. How the heck did he know her password? Later, when the two were standing awkwardly away from the crowd, Yum asked why he even came to festivals when he hated crowds. Mizuto said he had no choice. Madoka dragged him every year because he was her only friend. As the scene continued, Madoka arrived holding Chikuma's hand and told Yum to hold Mizuto's hand too. Mizuto tried to escape, but Yum grabbed his hand like she was testing a perfume in a store. Then they started arguing about who was the older sibling like kids. But in the middle of this silly fight, Yum realized she actually felt lighter after crying last night. Maybe she really needed that emotional flush. After walking around, they reached the shooting game. Chikuma grabbed the toy gun with full confidence but performed exactly like someone who studies from YouTube videos the night before exam. Madoka turned to Mizuto and yelled at him to take revenge for the family. Mizuto aimed but Yum tripped at the perfect moment, causing him to shoot and win a teddy bear, which he awkwardly gifted to Chikuma. Mizuto suspected Yum had tripped on purpose and asked if she did it intentionally. Yum roasted him back saying, "When Higashino falls on you, you ask no question. When I fall, suddenly there's an interview?" Mizuto said Higashino has no brain cells, but when a stepsister does something, it hits different. On the way back, a distant relative spotted Yum and Mizuto together and happily said she was glad someone was keeping an eye on him. Yum froze because, according to her, the only close relationship in Mizuto's life was with his own right hand. After that they headed to watch the fireworks, only to discover that Mizuto had disappeared again. Madoka casually explained this was his yearly ghost trick. Yum finally put the pieces together. Even during the barbecue he looked uncomfortable, so her dad had sent him away early on purpose. She realized Mizuto was way more emotional than she ever knew. He gave Chikuma a toy, greeted relatives, and did all of it while she was too busy being blind during their relationship. For the first time, Yum understood that people have layers, and Mizuto cared deeply in ways she never noticed. That strange new feeling inside her turned into a decision. She wasn't going to let him go again. Step-sibling cringe was not stopping this girl anymore. Meanwhile, Mizuto was stuck with life's biggest question. Why do people pity him for losing his mother? This pity had dug a quiet hole inside him over the years, a hole only books could fill. When he read his ancestor's autobiography, he found a new way to understand the world. Then the story shifted back to when Mizuto and Yum first met. He had spoken to her casually, with no expectations, but on their first date he realized she was hilariously hopeless. She thought TikTok was a shop that repairs clocks. This level of stupidity awakened a soft spot inside Mizuto, the same spot the world had thrown at him since his mother died. That feeling made him feel connected to Yum. She was the only person who made him feel something real, someone who talked nonsense without thinking for even 1 second. Back in the present, Yum kept searching for Mizuto. Suddenly she realized she used to be the only one who could completely flip his sad boy energy into something normal, like she had a built-in controller for his life. When she finally found him, she understood something important: people shouldn't pity him for losing his mother. And in true Yum style, before the moment got too emotional, she threw a bunch of insults at him to keep the mood from turning into an emotional mess. Yum went full emotional mode and asked how he knew her phone password. Mizuto, being the innocent idiot he is, said he had simply entered the date of their first kiss. Yum's brain blue-screened. She remembered that she had used the exact same password on his phone. Right then the fun began, a full back-and-forth teasing match between them. And after 2 years, they finally watched fireworks together again. All the emotions hit Mizuto so hard he couldn't stop tears from falling. And Yum, now fully in heroine mode, gave him his first and second kiss of this new chapter. She promised herself she would win him back no matter what. From ex-girlfriend to stepsister to future girlfriend again, the story had officially rebooted. Next day the whole family returned home. Yum decided she would fully embrace her role as stepsister, at least on paper. But then nostalgia punched her. She remembered her middle school romance with Mizuto and how neither of them had ever fully moved on. So, the two of them quietly made a promise. This time, they would rewrite their story from the beginning, but this time without any breakups.